Hello and welcome to the next lecture of Management and Information Systems. Today we're going to talk a bit more about competitive advantage that information systems give through to organizations. In previous lectures, we've talked a lot about how you can develop information systems. In the previous lecture, we talked about making the business case. Well, if you talk about the business case, you often talk about these unique properties that a company has. And information systems allow you to build on that unique aspect that your company has. So today we're going to take a closer look at the relationship between that identity, that business model that a company has, and how information systems enables companies to build on that aspect. So that's what we're going to talk a bit about today. We're going to follow this in the next lecture when we talk about more specifically about e-commerce and customer relationship management. We're going to take deeper dives into that. So today is an introduction. In the next lecture, we're going to explore it in more detail. So first, let's talk a little bit about what information systems are used for in organizations. Well, you've seen a lot of examples where information systems are used to automate things, to make things easier. So systems and information technology and combining people, organization, data, and hard and software together enables companies to do things faster, to automate things. It can also help companies to learn, to improve. There's one part that is automation, is making things happen automatically, so you need less human resources to do things. The other part is to identify how you could do things better. So, for example, increase your efficiency or reduce your costs. And finally, information systems can give you a strategic advantage. It allows you to do things in a new way. It allows you to gain a competitive advantage over your competitors. So information systems enable new kinds of business models. As we are working more and more online, as the digital world becomes more and more important, especially in these times, it allows you to develop and redevelop your business models. So information systems can give you innovative ways to gain a competitive advantage, to outperform your competitors. For example, by reducing costs, by delivering new services, or by better identifying what your customers want. So today we're going to look at a few of those examples, and throughout this lecture we'll use some examples in our society and in developments you see now around you related to the corona outbreak. I would encourage you to, as we go through this lecture, to start thinking about examples that you may have seen over the past period, the past months, the past weeks, where you can identify the concepts that we show you here. For some examples, I will introduce them to you, but I would encourage you to think about the news you've seen, think about things you've seen on social media, that are examples of the content that we describe here in the lecture. So let's start with some examples that I've experienced myself or I've seen. So a few days ago, our national holiday in the Netherlands, King's Day, was around. And one of the traditional things we do on King's Day is get like a pastry called een tompoes. Very hard to eat pastry, but it is sort of a part of our national tradition to eat that on that day. And of course, normally people would go to a bakery, they would go to a supermarket and buy those elements. But of course, because of the corona measures and keeping distance, a lot of bakeries were closed. People were unable to get it there. And that's actually where a lot of organizations sparked, their innovative thinking and find alternate ways to still deliver their products and that personal service that you would find at a bakery. So this was an example that was featured in the national news of a tompoes drive-through. So you didn't have to get out of your car, you could just stay in your car, and they actually built into the street this drive-through mechanism. So it is a transformation of a business dealing with new circumstances and actually gaining a competitive advantage over, for example, other bakeries that were closed. So you would see now, because we have this new reality we have to deal with, this distance we have to keep, these measures we have to follow, that we are looking at rethinking our business models and how we can adapt them. And information systems play a vital role in that. I'll give you a specific example of my home city in Breda. We here in Breda, sometimes there are food trucks around. We have a food market. People like to go out into the city, go for a bite, find some food on the streets that they can eat. But that's of course not possible anymore. Which on the one hand means that we're stuck at home. We can't go out for a bite to eat as we like to do here in the south of the Netherlands. But at the same time, there's a lot of food trucks, for example, that can't produce the revenue. They don't have the markets or the fairs or the stands they go to normally to sell the products. So what has happened is that a few of these food trucks have gotten together. They have set up their food trucks in a sort of drive-through mechanism. And they, in a parking lot, these food trucks have been positioned next to each other. And when you drive there, you reserve a time slot, and then you drive to this place, and on your phone, you scan a QR code and you order. Actually, a mobile order application. So you see here, this is in my car. I arrive at the place and I place my order. The next thing they do is they will check what you've ordered and if you paid for it. So you just show the receipt on your mobile phone. Somebody will take a marker, it's a wash away marker, and start marking on the windshield of your car what you've ordered. So in my case, some fries, spare ribs, and some barbecue. So that was written on the windshield. And after that, you actually drive through this street where all the food trucks are lined up, and they know the order that the cars are driving in through essentially a McDrive, and they will put the food out for you to pick up and take it into your car. And you'll take the food either with you in the car, you eat it somewhere, or you drive home and you eat it there. And this is some of the food. Maybe a bit unhealthy, but very delicious. So what I think this example shows is that with a small information system, essentially just an existing system for mobile ordering, along with a marker and a ham radio that they used to communicate to the food trucks what was being ordered, it was a very easy way that these people were able to relay the information and essentially create a new service around their core competence. So the food trucks were still there, and that was the heart of things, their food, but with a little bit of information systems and rethinking their concept, they were able to transform their business into quite a successful new venture, new business model. And that's something that you see a lot happening now. And so we call this this part, let me just zoom back a bit. So that unique thing that drives your business, that creates revenue for you, is what we call a competitive advantage. So it is some element, some part of your strategy, some part of your business that you would outperform your competitors. So that could either be because you have access to certain natural resources. So for example, you have access to oil in these phases. You have certain skills within your organization, but it could also be because you offer some unique service, because you have access to new technology, because you are operating in an area where there are no competitors. So whatever it is, it could be for a multitude of reasons, but a competitive advantage is the one thing that gives you an edge over your competitors. And that could be within your organization because you have some unique traits. It could be because of the area you're operating in or the environment you're operating in. So you could classify this competitive advantage in a couple of ways, but most commonly we refer to it in three ways. So a competitive advantage could be, you could get that from, outperforming your competitors when it comes to cost. So we call this cost leadership or operational excellence. It means that you're operating your business in a very efficient way, so you can offer products or services of similar quality or similar output, but at a lower price than your competitors. So customers will come to you because they have a better price value, or you will gain a higher profit. So in order to get a competitive advantage in cost leadership, it means that you have to lower the costs, you have to run more efficient operations, and information systems can help you in that by identifying where the highest costs are, by automating things, and so on. So that is the cost leadership strategy. And to give you an example, if you look at the airline industry, although nowadays not a lot is happening in that industry, it would be Ryanair, right? They essentially get you from point A to B, but their business model, their strategy, how they outperform the competitor is that because they have very low prices. They also offer less service, but that's not part of this. The strategy is to reduce costs and to be a leader when it comes to cost. So another strategy would be differentiating it. So you would, instead of focusing purely on the costs, you would differentiate yourself from your competitors by making your products or your services more interesting to the customers. So they are willing, even though you're not the cheapest one, the customers are willing to pay a higher price. So you offer, for example, higher quality, extensive services. And to do that, it requires you to do research and development, to innovate, and to invest more. So compared to staying within the airline industry, compared to Ryanair, that will be KLM, for example, who is not the cheapest airline around, but they do offer higher services on board in their planes, in the terminal, customer care, and so on. So that will be, product leadership. You're not leading in terms of cost, you're leading in terms of the products you offer, and you differentiate yourself from your competitors. A third strategy would be to have a very focused strategy. So both Ryanair, KLM, they have a wide market they operate in. Another way to look at it would be not to try to target the whole market of air travel, but focus on a specific niche, focus on a small segment of the market. So it could be, for example, a very limited number of customers with high willing to pay a high price, for example. So you focus on building a relationship with these customers, and so that's what we call customer intimacy. And staying within the airline industry, that would be, for example, private operators, private jets, or chartered planes, and so on. So it is this very small segment, and you offer a unique value, unique service, and you're constantly adapting to what your customers want of you. Now, in reality, these three elements are not one or the other. A company will probably have a combination of these three elements, trying to keep the cost low, excelling in certain other areas, and providing niche products that differentiate them from the competitors. So it's not a clear cut, but it would help you to describe the key focus of a company. Because for each of these, information systems play a different role. As I said, in cost leadership, the focus is on reducing cost, more efficient operations, automating things. In a differential strategy, an information system would be used to offer new services, to increase the customer experience, even though it would not directly save you cost, but it would build a customer relationship. And the focus strategy, you actually use information systems to maintain that relationship with your customers, to offer new services, and to see how you can listen to the customers and tailor to their needs, or to whatever that specific niche you're operating in. So all of them require different information systems. And within each company, each information system, an information system can operate on very different levels. Regardless of the strategy that a company or an organization will follow, there's different levels. So you have the executive and the strategic level, thinking about long-term planning, how to compete with their competitors, think about the balance between the three different strategies that we've earlier mentioned, which markets or which countries to invest in or to expand on, and so on. So at the middle level or the managerial level, it's focused on how do we translate their strategic goals into business processes. So the time frame is a bit shorter. Strategic management really has this longer time horizon, for example, years, but the middle management would be more focused on the short and immediate term. And it would be, for example, on where stores would be opened, which existing markets they should penetrate, and making sure that identifying where efficiency could be improved or what new services could be delivered. So it is actually a translation from what the strategic level will say to the next one, operational level. So operational level is really the day-to-day operations. It's on the work floor. It is making decisions on a day-to-day basis. For example, talk about airlines, the departure of flights, which flights, to which gates are being scheduled, and so on. So all these three levels require information. Remember in the previous lectures that we mentioned that a key part of information and information systems is to support people in their decision-making process. If you want to optimize your decisions, you have to be able to access the information that allows you to make a well-informed decision. However, the types of decisions that people make in an organization is different across these levels, and so is the information system. So expanding on that pyramid a little bit, you could say that there is, within different departments, different information systems because different decisions are being made. So you have from strategic, middle management, operational, and you have different departments that are cross-cutting through the organization. So Department of Accounting, Finance, Human Resources, Marketing, Operational, each of these areas has different information needs and thus uses different information systems or different parts of an information system. For example, for the day-to-day operations in the accounting department, you may use payrolling systems to do bank transactions and on a daily basis. But on a high level, on the strategic level for accounting, you would probably think about investment analysis, return on investments, those kinds of calculations. If you take another example for marketing, on a day-to-day operation, you would probably think about the pricing adjustments you have to make, repricing certain products or services. But at the management level, you would probably looking more at marketing campaigns that could be launched, which new markets to approach, and so on. Right. So for each of these different areas at different levels in the organization, the information needs might be different. So for an information system, you have to really understand what it is who are the users, what are their decisions, and what information do they need. And depending on that, you could implement the information system, which could be very specific to one of these parts of your organization, or could be more broad. So making that a bit practical, if you say, what kind of software could you use? Well, if you look at the strategic level and the time horizon will be longer, you would think about general management. You would look external. What are my competitors doing? How's the market developed? And the decisions you would be making are more ad hoc based. They're unstructured. They're not regularly reoccurring. So you probably need a lot of knowledge, and you would need to work with external advisors, with analysts, because they're not day-to-day structured decisions. They are ad hoc decisions. They are being made for investments, investment opportunities, expansions, and so on. So software that you could use in those is what we call executive information systems. Those systems could, for example, include market developments, forecasting, and so on. At the tactical or the level, the management level, the types of decisions would have a shorter time horizon. So we would say the midterm, a few months ahead. But here the decisions become more repeatable and recurring. So in the strategic level, decisions might be once off. You only make that kind of decision once. But in the management level, such decisions happen more frequently. Think about, for example, as I said before, the marketing campaigns. What marketing campaign should we run? The outcome of the decision might be different, but the type of decision and that kind of decision recurs frequently. And in that case, you would use decision support systems. So kind of decisions, so you would know what kind of information you would need, and that allows you to build a more structured information system, resulting in an information flow that helps you make that kind of decision more easily. And at the day-to-day operation, the operational level, we're talking about people on the work floor, the frontline employees. The decisions will not have as big as an impact as the other ones. Those decisions are usually highly structured. Often there is a sort of algorithm or approach or standardized way that you would make that decision. And we would call that transaction focused. So for example, offering a seat on a flight, there's a whole protocol for a stewardess or for a person on the check-in counter to determine if you could get the upgrade, and if so, at what price. So systems here would really help more with these day-to-day decisions and actually what we call transactions. So those systems, transaction processing systems, are highly structured. They're designed to support the standard workflows. So hopefully that introduction gives you an idea of the relationship between a competitive advantage, the strategy that a company might follow combining or focusing on one or more of these types of competitive advantage, and then how you would use information, the types of decisions that are related to where you are in an organization. So the next one, I'm going to take a bit closer look at linking information systems to these competitive advantages.